Okay, so I would like to think that Chris Paul will return to Phoenix, whether that is picking up his option, opting out, and then re signing for 3 years and however much money. But with the way the NBA is nowadays, player movement is, and the way that we've seen guys just out of nowhere go to a different team, you never know with this stuff. So would it shock me if a month from now Chris Paul was arranged in some sort of sign and trade with somebody else or whatever? No, not really. So I really hope he stays with Phoenix because, for one, it's just cool to have the Suns being good, and it's a likable group of guys. And if I downsold how awesome their run was in the Bucks winning the title video, I didn't mean to do that. And I mean, for the Suns' sake, I've seen a little bit of, well, this was their best opportunity, which, yeah, it probably was. But that doesn't mean you don't keep going for it. I mean, next year, Kawhi's potentially going to miss the whole season. Jamal Murray is going to miss a decent chunk of the regular season, and who knows if he can be back to it by the playoffs. Of course, it's still going to be difficult. We'll see everything that happens this offseason. You imagine a healthy Lakers team is still the favorite in the West. But still, I think the opportunity is there a bit for Phoenix. So that's the first thing. I mean, if Chris Paul is gone, then that would be pretty rough. That's pretty obvious. Now, to talk about the rest of the Suns, I think internal improvement is the biggest thing. And I'll talk about Ayton and Bridges, but I do want to start with Booker. I think the biggest thing with Booker is that it just has to be every game. We saw some very high highs for him in the postseason. I mean, there was Game 6 against the Lakers, 47 points, where he's just making contested jumpers off of those curl actions all day. We had the back-to-back 40-point games, I think it was 40, against the Bucks. But then there was also the really bad Game 4 against the Bucks. Game 6 against the Bucks, he wasn't too good. And when you look at his overall stats in each individual series, it's not as amazing as specific games would have suggested. Now, he was still really, really good. And, I mean, look, they got to Game 6 of the NBA Finals. I don't think you want to be too hard on the guy. But I do think there's another level to get to with Booker, mainly as a three-point shooter. Whether that's off the dribble stuff, whether that's just improving with off the catch, whatever. I mean, he shot below 30% in the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals from three. I think it's fair to be like, that's probably not the best thing. I think we also saw when the Bucks started to really affect the Suns defensively, it was a whole lot of just Booker dribbling a million times and the rest of the guys weren't really touching it. And that's definitely on the coaching staff, but I think you can put some of that on Booker as well. I also think Booker could look to get to the line a bit more. I mean, in Game 1 against the Bucks, he had 10 free throw attempts. The rest of the series, he had 22, which means 22 in 5 games. That averages out to about 4.5, which is probably also not enough. But he was still really good overall. I don't want to imply otherwise. And it's a similar thing with Ayton. I mean, we had games where he was matching Jokic in production. Similar thing with Anthony Davis. His defense throughout the whole playoffs was really good. But I do still think there's like a little more aggressiveness, being mean, whatever you want to say, that Ayton can get to, that I think we saw at the tail end of the Bucks series. Whether that's simply demanding the ball more if he's got good position or something like that, I guess. I mean, in the finals, he shot 22 free throws in 6 games, which averages out to a little over 3 free throws a game, which is just simply not enough for a guy of his size. I think that's a team-wide thing that just needs to be better. Now, I get it. You don't want to just dump the ball to him in the post all game and get rid of all the other stuff you're doing, but is it really crazy to believe that DeAndre Ayton could get to like 6 free throw attempts a game? But anyway, again, they got to Game 6 of the finals. I don't want to go too hard on him. Mikal Bridges developing a bit more of an offensive game would be huge, and I think he has potential to do that. He already has busted out some off-the-dribble stuff, and I mean, you get to 14 points a game. Yeah, some of it is off of catch-and-shoot threes and cutting to the rim from the corner and all that, but I feel like there's something there with him. I think that was one of the things that they ran into against the Bucks, was the Bucks could just kind of game plan everybody out of the game, and then it was like Booker and CP and not much else. The awkward thing was their third guy who can create is Cameron Payne, but you're going to play him with CP and Booker. It's a little awkward. I mean, maybe the Suns could make a move to get a wing who can do a little bit off the dribble and still give them the shooting and the defense. As far as who, I don't know. I mean, I heard a thing about how the Jazz would be willing to move Joe Ingles. Whether they would want to help out the Suns or not, I don't know. But someone like that. The other things to talk about are DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges as extensions. I mean, Ayton is probably going to get over $20 million a season, maybe starting at like 22, 23. And then Bridges, I think a bargain for Bridges would be like a contract that starts at about $17 million and ends at about 21 or 22. Given that this is the NBA, he's probably going to get a little bit more than that. So to think about a trade, I think you're looking at Jalen Smith first and foremost. He's a lottery pick who just might not have a fit on this team. That said, Dario Saric might be out for the next season, so they may be in desperate need of a backup big guy. I guess it's possible you could have Saric in a trade as salary filler, but number one, he's not on an expiring, and number two, again, he's probably going to miss all of next season, so I don't know who's really going to take him. They could use this year's pick to help them out with any trades. I believe they can trade the pick after they use it. Stepien rule next year, protections to OKC from the CP trade. But still, I don't know if they're going to get like a huge return back. So we'll see. I mean, I doubt they want to give up Crowder. He was a pretty essential 3-and-D guy for them. I just think the perfect version of the Suns has Crowder coming off the bench, and his replacement is someone who has a little bit more to their offensive game. Now, maybe that's Cameron Johnson. I mean, it would be cool if he could develop a little more skills off the dribble, but he's a threat from outside, certainly. If we're going to look at these finals, then they need more size on the wing. Whether you can do that while improving talent-wise, we'll see. They're probably going to want to re-sign Cameron Payne for their sake. Hopefully it's a contract that doesn't go beyond, I don't know, $7 million a year or so. Maybe someone offers him a $12 or $13 million a year deal, I don't know. Anyway, they're probably going to have at least some portion of their mid-level. Whether they want to use the full thing and get hard capped or whatever, we'd have to see. But someone like Reggie Bullock could be, I guess, a better version of Torrey Craig. JaMychal Green, if he declined his option, I feel like Denver would like to hold on to him, though. So we'll see. I don't think the Suns' mid-level is going to be a big talking point this offseason, but I do think it could help them out a bit. So yeah, man, that's that. I think Phoenix can still be really good if CP comes back. I know there's been a little bit of talk about him to the Lakers. I don't know if that's real or it's just we've got to get the Lakers into the headlines somehow, but it is out there.